Hello, I'm Donald Leggett, and welcome to the latest London South East CEO interview. I'm joined today by Roger Brown, CEO at Seplat Energy, the leading indigenous gas and oil operator in Nigeria, which is also dual listed in Nigeria and on the London Stock Exchange. With the share price at just under 100 pence, the market cap is around £573 million. Welcome back, Roger. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Hello, thank you.
So perhaps the best place to start might be to summarise the strategy for the Seplat Energy business and give us a sense of how 2021 has gone so far.
Yes, thanks. So just setting out our strategy, we try to make it as simple as possible. So we put it on three pillars. First pillar is really our upstream business, and that's oil and gas. We've been known for it's a profitable business, and that's really about focusing cost reduction, efficiencies, bringing in IT, etc., and then ramping up and getting the conversion of dollar in to more than $1 out is critical. That business then will fund dividends, it'll fund return of capital to the banks, and also it will fund our growth. Pillar two then is a midstream business. That's the business we started to ramp up in 2012. That's gas plants. And looking at that business, what we want to do then is move down the value chain and looking into LPG and CNG. Really, that's about avoiding deforestation in country. There's a lot of firewood cooking in Nigeria. And then that then naturally leads into pillar three, which is the new energy and renewable energy pillar for a business. So following the molecule down into the electron, as we call it, looking at gas to power opportunities, select that makes sense for us, and then looking at renewable energy for the future of Nigeria. So we released a set of results yesterday. We believe they're strong results. We're profitable, back into profit. We have strong revenues in both gas and oil. And more importantly than anything else, I guess, for the investors listening to this, is we announced another quarterly dividend. We're paying those quarterly now, and we're paying 2.5 cents a share. So our target is 10 cents a share per annum. And that you'll have seen the Capital Markets Day, you'll have seen since IPO, we've given back over $400 million of dividends to shareholders. So Seplat's not just a growth company, it's actually a company that gives you a return as you go through the growth cycle.
So it's been a bit of a pleasing 2021 for you, Roger, given that you're the boss now.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have a great team, and we are really setting out our stall for the future. So 2021 was I think any year beyond 2020 is going to be a good year. But the business shows how robust it is. It really recovered very quickly. We only had one quarter last year, which is a real problem, which is Q2. The business came back into profitability. We refinanced our bond in March of this year, and we put a $650 million bond in place, and then still have the revolving credit facilities. If we need to draw on, I think we can draw in with cash on the balance sheet, we can probably draw $650 million plus. So we have that firepower if we need it. We have a very good organic business. So really drawing on that would really be for inorganic opportunities, which I think will be a lot in the future. Yeah, so we're well positioned. But the team, I pressure the team to do better. We need to really grow it, capitalize on opportunities. I think we're unique in a way that we do have access to international capital, being on 2 stock exchanges. We're indigenous, which then allows us to play a slightly different game in country from inward investment. Clearly is for local content, indigenous players, the government really wants to advance that sector. And I think Seplat's well positioned in the middle of it.
Okay, so you've got the Seplat management team in London yesterday for a Capital Markets Day. What were the big messages that you were giving out to the institutions there?
Yeah, so I think our messages were very clear. Well, we ran through the entire business, and we really said, look, the message here is we're not radically going to change the business. We're designing an energy mix that's right for Nigeria. That on those three pillars, and really setting out how we're going to work our way through those three pillars. But the news is our upstream business is a very strong business, and it's going to be like that into the future. But then we also said to the investors, look, you've got to balance. In ESG, we keep hearing this more and more. There is an E and an S. And I think a lot of the rhetoric is all about E. It's all about Paris. It's all about environmental. And we're reducing carbon today. Our gas is displacing diesel. So CO2 reduction today, as we move into renewables, we'll see even more. So we've laid out our stall on E, but we've also laid out a stall on S. So the social agenda, so what does that mean? It's energy for employment. It's energy for education. It's energy for health care. We've got 200 million people in Nigeria, going to double in the next 30 years. It's going to be the third biggest, most populous place on the planet, second biggest democracy in the world. This is too big to forget about a social agenda. A social agenda is right and center to what Nigeria needs, and our energy is going to facilitate that. So we're blending the E and the S, and that's our messaging is we're going to design that energy mix that delivers both.
So last time we spoke, Roger, you were telling me about an energy group that you're creating in Lagos. Now, how will that energy group help Seplat deliver that focus that you've just given to me?
Yeah, so we've set up a new energy group, and we've put our midstream business into it. But what we're doing at the minute then is really defining gas to power opportunities and also renewable energy. So those skills are more utility skills than upstream oil and gas. So we're bringing the right skills into the business. We've gone through quite an extensive strategy with the board. The board is delighted to say fully supportive. And now we'll work with that new energy group and into the wider business, because obviously ESG sits within the wider business, and actually then drive out those opportunities. But in a sensible way, we're not running into it. But we see a lot of opportunities. I think to put it pretty easily, if you look at the value chain from gas molecule into electron, in Nigeria, the electricity in Nigeria is the most expensive in the world. It's diesel generated power. We've had a study done that it's 52 cents a kilowatt hour. I mean, that's 3 to 4 times what it is in average for the world. So that's the Nigerians are paying 3 to 4 times the amount. Our gas going into that electron, there's a big value chain we can capture, which we're not touching on today. So I think we can get more margins out of that business, more growth out of that business, and drive down, displace this diesel, which is really hampering social development.
If I could just ask you about net zero emissions targets, other oil and gas companies worldwide are keen on these. Where do you stand on net zero emissions?
Yeah, so we're coming out with targets for sure. There's no doubt about it. But we're saying that rather than come out with a 2050 net zero, I don't think that really captures what we're trying to do. So what we're doing is, for instance, one of our CO2 emissions we report, our CO2 emissions is flaring. So we have a Flares Out program, which will take 90% of those emissions out by 2023. That's that target. We're looking at going into gas to power and renewable energy. If you compare that against the baseline in Nigeria and capture that CO2 reduction, then net will be negative. Because we're displacing that diesel generated power. But also what we're looking at is avoiding deforestation. So our targets are going to be much more succinct. It's not going to be some point in the future we hope we're going to get there. We're going to lay out exactly what targets we have in the near term. But I'm very confident we can get pretty much all our CO2 eradicated in a very short space of time. So it's an exciting.
A very good answer, Roger. Okay, let's talk progress update on ANOH, which is your serious gas project in Nigeria. What impact will that have on your performance when it comes on stream next year? And if you could give us a sense of when that will be coming on stream.
Yes, it's middle of next year. It comes on stream. We've got most of the equipment's already in country, so we're installing on the site at the minute, and the government's completing a spur line in the OB3 pipeline, which will take that gas into Oban, which is the main demand center for going into Lagos and Abuja. So that'll be on stream middle of next year. In terms of that business, what does it mean? It's a 300 million scf a day gas plant. So that will then take us, in terms of operating gas, up to 800 million scf a day. So we're going to be one of the biggest, in fact, probably the biggest gas processor in country. That drives out like a dry gas market for us, and we're already in there today. Condensate out of that plant is about 18,000 barrels a day of condensate coming out. So it's quite condensate rich. And then there's LPG, and we want to open up those LPG markets. So it's going to bring substantial gas processing to us, more production line in terms of more volume of condensate. And what's very, very important, is going to give us a dividend stream coming back up into the corporate, the PLC, over the next 15, 20 plus years. So
it sounds quite transformational, both for Seplat Energy and also for Nigeria, if I could put it that way.
It is, absolutely. I mean, this gas is what Nigeria needs. It needs to create a base load of energy, will allow then it can move into renewable energy. If you look at the UK, it's been very successful because it has a base load of power. It has gas, it has coal, it has other forms of base load mix. Nigeria needs that, right? So today it doesn't have it. It has an off-grid diesel as its base load. So this gas will really transform that platform to go into renewable energy. It will transform our business. It's another project we've done with government, and we're looking at others. As I said before in these meetings or interviews, we're very hungry, we're very ambitious, and there are many more projects we can do.
Okay, let's talk about your ambitions in a different way. There's new legislation around the governance of the oil industry, which has been passed in Nigeria, the PIB as it's called. So how does the PIB affect Seplat, and where are you with the oil majors who are divesting assets in Nigeria? What kind of opportunities does that throw up for you? And if you could give me a little peep into your thinking there.
Well, first of all, the PIB, it's been the most talked about thing for, I guess, 15 years. There's a real excitement in the market, and our view is yes, it will be passed this year, probably in late Q3 or maybe in early Q4. That legislation will then just set the rules, and that's what was lacking in Nigeria, which is just the transparency of those. In terms of what it means for us, I mean, some aspects we win, lower taxes in certain aspects, and other aspects it's higher royalties. So it's quite neutral. But what it does do is gives the investment platform for people to have confidence. They know the rules going forward. And in the deep water, I think a lot of the majors, in terms of their projects have been held back, taking FID. You're going to start to see that happen over the coming years. When it comes to then divestments, I think it gives a huge opportunity for a company like Seplat that has access to capital. And obviously majors have been very clear that they are rationalizing their portfolios at a great rate of acceleration now. You've seen what Shell said, you knew what Exxon are under pressure, Chevron, BP have already laid out the stall, etc. Although they're not obviously in Nigeria. But I think the majors are then saying, look, we are going to divest. And the onshore and the shallow water was always a great opportunity for a company like Seplat. I think we're going to see an acceleration. So I think there's going to be more projects than there is capital. And therefore access to capital is going to be very key. And Seplat's well positioned. It's got great governance. It's very visible. It's delivered. It's proven to the government that we're a great partner. So I think we can play front and center in those divestments and really ramp it up. And in that, Donald, we are looking at not just oil, we're looking at oil and gas combined. And gas really is going to be the future.
Gas must be quite a big play.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you, do you still have hedging in place?
Yeah, our hedging program's still in place. It's a insurance, it's a put option hedging. So yes, we'll continue to hedge. And we're pushing the prices up of those floor in the hedging.
Fantastic. And I know you're You like to take on exploration opportunities. So have you had any success with the drill bit, or what exploration have you got coming up?
Yeah, so we've got a much more renewed focus on exploration. We've just set up a new exploration team, and that's housed out of Aberdeen, but working with the team in Lagos. We are looking to do exploration, not just ad hoc. We're going to do it every year, but really about sort of extending the life of our existing assets. We have an exploration well one this year. We've got it's called Sibiri. It's an OML 40, which is the Eland acquisition we did at the end of 2019. So we're going to be spudding that exploration well towards the end of the year, with the results early next year. Fingers crossed. It looks extremely good. On success case, they'll open up a whole new horizon for us in OML 40. So you never know with exploration. It's always risky, but this looks very, very good for us. So that, and then obviously going into next year and beyond, we will be setting out exploration, at least one exploration well a year, and if not more.
Okay, when we last spoke in November 2020, the share price was around 50 pence. It was, in the doldrums slightly. So, and it's close to 100p today. It's about 98, 99p. So what has underpinned that significant re-rating?
Overall, it's about delivering on our promises. We're in guidance. We've just acknowledged that we're going to still within our guidance, 48 to 55 barrels of oil equivalent per day for this year. It's about putting the wells in and the program, etc., recovery there, refinancing the balance sheet, cash generation. You can see we've got $125 million of cash generated in the first half, which is very strong. And obviously oil price helps. So oil price recovery coming out of COVID, the vaccines around the world. I think all those put together, but I always say that we're undervalued. So even though we've gone through the £1 a share, it's a bit below that today, but we've gone through £1 a share. I think there's a lot more upside in the share price and the dividend, right? So we're again paying quarterly dividends. I think that certainly has been recognised as positive by the investors. Okay,
Roger, my final question. What comes next in terms of news flow over the next 12 months?
So obviously we announced yesterday actually that the Mookby-to-Scravels pipeline, we should have the first liftings out in Q4. That's key. We've had a lot of downtime on the Forcatus pipeline. So that's one. ANOH coming up to the middle of next year. We're looking into mechanical completion into early next year, and then commissioning, and then we'll actually be full up and running by the middle of next year. That's catalyst. Obviously, watch the space for opportunities in the transition with LPG and CNG, and then our drilling program, obviously. So 3 Betogan wells. We've spotted the first one. We've got a couple of wells in the west and one in the east. And then next year we'll have our program norm is around anything up to sort of 15 wells per annum. So that exploration well we talked about at Sibiri, and results will come out probably Q1 next year. So it's going to be busy. Restructuring the team, moving ahead, brought new hires in, etc., and gelling the team to move forward. But we're excited. It's a lot of opportunity. We're a young company, but we're very hungry for success and growth.
Busy, that's just how you like it, Roger. Okay, Roger, that was Roger Brown, CEO of Seplat Energy. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us today, Roger. For more interviews like this one, please subscribe to the London South East YouTube channel. You just have to Google London South East YouTube, and then off you go. Follow us on Twitter @London South East. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe.